Hello.
Ooh.
I don't know why I was invited here, but I think we have to play something called music. Oh.
Yay! Donnie looks so good.
We both look good. Are you kidding me? Hello, my friends. Welcome to episode 150 of Restitching the Tapestry. And you know us, when we are celebrating, we like to dress up because it's fun and life is too short not to have fun. Let's be honest, right? And completely being frank here, I don't think we realized that we would get this far in the show. And
I
here we are.
it's taken us 4 years to get here.
It's wild. It feels like 4 years, but simultaneously it feels like we also just started this yesterday.
I
Does it feel that
know.
way to you, or is it just me?
I just can't believe it's been 4 years. Like we've been doing this basically like every week for like 4 years.
I know. And I think it's become so much of a habit that it just at least for me, like this is the thing that oftentimes gets me through the week, right? Like I'll be like, oh, this week's rough. Oh, wait, I get to hang out with Ari on Thursday night and then talk about exciting stuff, for fun. It's all for fun, right? And
Usually LGBTQ plus stuff.
well, of course, we're going to talk about, LGBTQ plus stuff. That's part of the fun too, right? So, who do we have in the chat so far? Arby's here. Arby was looking forward to today's episode. Godzilla Cairo is here.
Hello, everyone.
Oh, thank you, Arby. Arby says you both look awesome.
I basically just did like the bare minimum of what was necessary for the assignment, but then my friend Sangria Noir here
Oh,
decided to go above and beyond and get an A plus on the
I don't know
assignment
if
and
you know me.
credit.
I am Dolly Parton's gothy sister. No, there have been many episodes where we've dressed up where you have literally gone way above and beyond what I've done.
I know. And so I'm
So
just like it's her turn to go above and beyond. And
this is like yeah,
I'm just coasting,
like
living in the glory that is all of that. Or all of that. I'm sorry, my mirrored.
Godzilla Kyrie says, I wasn't expecting this and it immediately made my day better. We are glad that we could make your day better. Arpy says, Donnie, have you thought of being a drag queen? You'd so rock at it. I don't think I have the patience for it because it took this happened quickly and it required Britt assisting me to do it. Because for me, eye makeup is just really, really hard. Like depth perception and dimensions are just, I was never good at geometry, let's just say. RP says, it's giving me Gaga vibes. What a compliment. Thank you. I
I
was
love it.
thinking Trixie Mattel.
I like that. That's a good one.
I love
Trixie Mattel is a
Trixie.
good one.
Godzilla Kyrie says, I've not been having a great week. My community posts on my channel will explain. I don't want to. Well, I'll have to go and read that. And I hope that your week gets better, my friend. I'm sorry about that. I'm the goth version of Gaga. You know what? I'll take it. I'll take it. So, how have we been and what have we been up to this past week?
I think you should go first because you have some exciting news about your channel.
I do have some exciting news. My YouTube channel just hit 5,000 subscribers. Woo! Which is wild to me because, Tiffany Gray is here. Hello, Tiffany, my dear.
Hello, Tiffany.
It's great to have you here. I never, you and I, Ari, have been on this journey for so many years. And we, this past year, both of our respective channels have finally started to grow somehow. And now that we've gotten to this point, like, I'm just having, like, this existential crisis of, like, "Oh, it's happening, I guess. Okay, woo."
I'm
Like,
excited for you. Yours growing a little bit faster than mine, but yeah, like d I hit 1,000 subscribers and you hit 4,000 and then 5,000 subscribers. Oh my goodness, just
I
like
know.
shooting up there like
If it
like a
wasn't for
rocket.
that if it wasn't for that video in January that gained, like, 30, 40,000 views, like, I think it must have, like, really synced my channel into, like, the algorithm, so now, like, many of my videos have been getting, like, 500 to 1,000 views regularly, and it's just
It's exciting.
trying to strike while the frying pan is hot, and thankfully, it seems to have been working so far. Tiffany says, "Oh my god, I'm so happy for you." So does Arby. Thank you. Thank you. Beyond that, this past week, I've just been doing a lot of work. Um, Spring break is next week for me, so I'm going to be doing some writing.
Ooh.
No, and I'm going to be planning on getting garden stuff ready. Speaking of good news, you have good news on the book front, don't
Oh
you?
my oh my goodness, I got my first royalty payment on beachfront property, $30 right into the bank account.
Woo!
I was like, "That's almost as much as I made off my first 3 books."
That is amazing. I'm so proud of you. And it's so surreal when you get a royalties payment, right? It's just like all the hard work is like bringing in something. Like it's a very interesting feeling to have to experience.
It's just I worked really hard on that, and it's so nice that it finally pays off that I get something back for it.
Absolutely. You deserve it. So all
Mm.
of you, if you've not gone and checked out Ari's collection, Beachfront Property, it is on Amazon and it is worth the read. I am obsessed with it.
I know, and I've been working on my next collection, so I've been typing up stuff for that. And I also started a new screenplay this week called
Ooh.
Museum at the End of the World.
Oh, okay. That sounds interesting. That immediately piqued my interest.
So I started writing a script on that. I'm about 15 pages in. So I just like started type, and I was like, oh yeah, I have to finish, I have to do 5 more pages before the end of the day today to get it to 20 pages. But it's very interesting.
I I am stoked. I am very intrigued, honestly. Um, Tiffany says, "Oh my god, Ari, hell yeah." Oh my god, Ryan's here. Hello, Ryan. Thank you. It's good to see you, my friend. I hope you're doing well. Let me know what you've been up to. So, any other things happening for us, or does that sum it up, I'd say?
Oh, I started my next college class, contemporary literature and uh, publishing on the publishing market. I just started that class.
Hmm, that sounds
Hmm.
unique. That sounds interesting. I hope that it
Yeah.
goes well, and I hope that it's more enjoyable than your poetry one was.
Yeah. It seems good. The professor seems like she's on top of it.
That's good. Ooh, current events. So, what do we got going on? We've been trying to do a little bit better with staying up to date on current events because the first few episodes we were like, just we're not tuning into anything. We don't care.
So there are wildfires in Texas right now, and that's kind of a big deal because first of all, oil production is in Texas. So wildfires are kind of like taking, happening, and they're kind of like a big deal. So do watch out if you're traveling to Texas, do watch out for wildfires that are taking place there right now.
Yes, definitely. Just
Just
another
another part
situation,
of climate change. Yeah, climate change.
Yeah.
Um, I thought this was a very interesting thing, but journalists in Gaza are banding together and they are signing kind of like an affidavit to ask for safety while reporting in Gaza. And I thought that that was very interesting because um, I the reason why I thought it was interesting is you have both of these sides fighting each other, Israelis and Pakistanis. They're fighting each other, and here are these journalists that are like, excuse me, can you make sure that us journalists are safe while you two are killing each other? it's like, excuse me, journalists banding together to sign a little document that says, oh, by the way, I know that freedom of speech is important and that it's all right that you two are killing each other, but just make sure the journalists are safe.
Right. See, at first, like before I like did any reading on it, I thought they were banding together to do this to kind of create some loophole for like creating a sense of safety in a certain area, like in Gaza.
No, they just want the journalists to be safe because they want to protect First Amendment rights.
Oh my goodness.
They don't care about either Israeli or Pakistanis. They just care about keeping a little bubble around the journalists because the journalists are more important than everyone else.
Right. So let's look at the comments really quickly. RP says, Donnie, I wish I had your guts when it comes to responding to bigots. Your comebacks are the best. Are you talking about on Twitter? Because I've been fighting with anti-Star Trek Discovery people on Twitter over the last week.
Oh, I have a news report about what's happening on X right now, too.
What's happening on X?
So apparently, Elon Musk has gone to a judge and said that he wants to have the judge penalize some researchers that he wants them to penalize researchers who have been compiling information about all of the hate speech that's happening on X right now. And Elon Musk thinks that they should not be allowed to compile information about all of the hate speech that's happening. So he wants them to kind of create like a gag order on these researchers that are compiling hate evidence. Like if you read he wants them to basically like penalize these because there's like a lawsuit against Elon Musk about all of the hate speech that's happening on X, and he wants them to penalize the researchers that are compiling the evidence against him.
Wow.
And it's like, if that doesn't make you want to not use X, he's trying to literally like stifle the people collecting evidence against him.
That's shady. That's very
shady.
That's very shady. Tiffany says, we had wildfires in Virginia back in November. Thankfully, they are done. Ryan says, I've just been working a lot, been doing a lot of shows lately. I have some more good ones coming up. Did Story of the Year, Seven Dust, Avenged Sevenfold next month. So I don't know if you've checked out Ryan's magazine, Ethereal Metal Webzine. It's really, really good. Really, really good. Yes. Tiffany says that's effed. Yes, it definitely is. Ryan says the fires have been pretty bad. P.S. We're super excited that we have actually quite a few viewers tonight because we will be doing a Q&A later where you can ask us questions, by the way. So stick around if you're able. I've been trying to do more reading, RP says. Oh, and RP said, I mean, like the bigot who replied to my comment on the next. Oh, yeah, my next Benedict video got some interesting feedback from some haters who.
Oh, goodness.
So just as an update on that, I know this wasn't on our list, but why not update it, right? There was. Oh, Lacey's here. Lacey thinks we look fabulous. Thank you. So they're like the local police released their cam footage of their interview with Nex Benedict in the hospital. And Nex admitted to having like an active participation in that fight that happened. Apparently these girls were making fun of Nex and their friends, and Nex threw like water on them. And apparently that kind of, according to what Nex said in the cam footage, caused the fight. But my response to people who are like, oh, well, Nex started it, is, did Nex deserve the result? I don't really think that casting water on somebody warrants the level of violent retaliation that they got.
I think that there's more to it than just throwing water. I think that there is probably more to the whole situation than...
Possibly, yeah. I mean, regardless, though, nobody deserves to die, right? I mean,
Right.
granted, like there is still like some conflicting reports about the
I
cause of
think
death. Like, I don't think they've
I think that
revealed
there was
that yet.
probably like an escalation that led up to throwing water.
Probably, yeah. Let's see. Majin's Beard is here. Hello, my friend. Majin's Beard was just on my recent episode of Growing Up with Godzilla, so if you've not checked that out yet, please do. It was a great conversation. Tiffany Gray agrees, and so does Arby. So I guess we are on to the mission statement. Ari, it is your turn this evening to grace us
Ooh.
with the performance of the mission statement.
We live in a dynamic society where social media shapes us by creating greater opportunities for connection. It has led to a developing understanding of the adversity many marginalized communities face, the powers causing the adversity, and those who act as bystanders as atrocities take place in real time. Our goal with this show is to make connections and have challenging conversations about social topics, current events, pop culture, and art. Together, let's weave the threads of understanding with what privilege we have in order to learn, educate, and create in a world that's growing.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So, Lacey, continuing what we were just talking about, asks, have they said the cause of death? I feel like the school is downplaying it because it doesn't sound like a huge fight. It's just weird how they had to go to the hospital later on and then die. Yeah, I will agree that I do think that the school and some local outlets are definitely downplaying it. And I think that they are probably doing that because they're worried about the virality of the story. Not that that makes it right by any stretch of the imagination, right? Um, Tiffany says, let's weave the threads of understanding to make a soft, fluffy sweater. Yes.
Yes.
Well, we're hoping that tonight's episode will be like a soft, fluffy sweater, honestly, because, well, we're celebrating, right?
We are
150
celebrating.
episodes. And I guess when it comes to doing long form projects like this, I don't really think that you have it in the back of your mind to slow down for a moment and just to really take in all the things that you've accomplished. And not to, pat ourselves on the back, Ari, but I feel like we've done a lot of work doing this. Like we've
Mhm.
given a lot of time doing this, and I don't know about you, but I'm genuinely proud of what we've been able to do together because I feel like we've had so many meaningful, funny, wholesome conversations over the past 4 years. And like thinking about it, like as we keep having new seasons, like I just get more and more excited about it. How are
Well,
you
it's just
feeling?
it's not even just stuff that we're doing like in front of the camera. It's stuff that we do like behind the camera to prepare for the show. It's it's just like, to me it's, I always use beach references. To me it's just sort of like the tide coming in, and that every week is sort of like mentally preparing for the show, of like thinking about the topic and thinking about spending time with one of my, my best friend, and getting the notes ready. And then after that high, after we have that show and it's a really great show, and we're coming down from that episode, and we're like, yeah, this is a really great episode. And then like sometimes we'll come up with new episode ideas because we're like brainstorming, or like sometimes the next day I'll listen to the episode again and I'll be like, yeah, that was really great. And I'll like
Mm,
idea storm after that about like things that I want to talk, like, episode, like videos that I want to make on my own thing, about like things that I've been thinking about, and like, or like tarot videos that I want to make because it's like things that I thought about because of the episode, or like water videos that I want to make, or like things that I want to talk about like in just other
yeah.
videos, or like sometimes I'll do some writing afterwards and like have that affect my writing, and like affect my journaling, or like, and then I'll like upload the episode to the podcast server. It's all part of this, like this routine, this thing that we have.
Right. Like, I feel the same way. Like, I feel like it's also, I mean, one, I do view the show as an extension of our friendship. We've known each other for almost 20 years, like going all the way back to college. That's how we got into YouTube initially, is like, I mean, you got me into YouTube, but I feel like this is the culmination of all of that, and it feels really good. And I feel like our friendship has grown in doing this too. And I'm going to be honest, like, I mean, for our first season, I think we were just kind of like dipping our toe into the pool. We were really just kind of, getting a feel for it, because like during the pandemic, podcasting, I think, really became like this booming thing that people were interested in. And we knew that we both had platforms. We both had, interesting things that we wanted to talk about regarding social issues. We just pieced it all together, and that's how it was born, right? But now
Right.
looking at it, now that we are literally in season 5, we have an aesthetic that we have. We have an intro, we have like a pace and everything like that, when we didn't have that before. And plus, like, Ari's been doing a lot of hard background work, like they were just saying, getting our shows up on other streaming services. I don't know if you all know this, but you can actually stream Restitching the Tapestry on YouTube Music, on Spotify, on iTunes/Apple Music, like so many different places. So if you're ever bored and you're like, oh, I'm on the road, I want to listen to a podcast,
I
and you
think the
can't get
only
to YouTube.
place I think the only place you can't stream it is Apple. I
Okay,
think
so
you can't
maybe
get it
is it iTunes that it's on then, instead of, because I know Apple Music and iTunes are two different things now.
I think you can get it on iTunes, but I don't think you can get it on Apple
Okay.
Podcasts, because I think that's the only one that I haven't been able to get it on is Apple. Because Apple, it's only like the big podcasts get on Apple. I think the only one that I haven't been able to get is Apple. But I think we're everywhere else.
Yeah. But you know what? You've been doing, like, you've put a lot of hard work into that, and I really appreciate you doing that. We also have an official Facebook page for the podcast now, if you've not liked it yet. Essentially, we every season that we do, I think that one thing that really excites us is that we find new ways to kind of grow. And it doesn't have to be like astronomical. It can be simple things, right? And I like it makes it fun. So, looking at the comments here, Lacey says, "Congrats, guys." RP says, "Every episode is a soft, fluffy sweater." Tiffany says, "You've done hell of a job." Thank you so much. And then Tiffany says, "And I love getting to know Ari more. I freaking love you, Ari. You're awesome."
I love you, Tiffany.
Oh, RP says, "You rock, Ari.
Oh, thanks.
You all are great. We appreciate you. Thank you." So, in conclusion, how that makes us feel? It makes us feel, well, it makes me feel great. It makes me feel wholesome.
It makes me feel really accomplished, and it makes me feel as though I've always said I'll always do this podcast as long as we have episode ideas and as long as we're having fun.
Yep, and when we've been doing that, we have a pretty sizable list. We have episodes planned out all the way till the end of April, and we're probably going to do another planning sesh here soon. So,
Yeah.
exciting times, exciting times. I mean, you've seen me during the episodes periodically, everyone. Like I'll be like, "That's a great episode idea. Let me write that down really quick," So, ooh, my one eyelash is poking me. I don't know how people wear eyelashes regularly, but ooh. Anyway, it's
I
that
know.
glue. It's that glue.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
do we want to do a Q&A?
Yeah, does anybody have any questions for us about the podcast?
Yeah, while you're thinking of questions, I don't think we've ever done a Q&A before.
We've
So,
never done a Q&A.
we figured that instead of doing like a series of reactions to clips like we did with episode 100, we would do a Q&A. So if you have any questions, please do not hesitate to put them in the chat, and we will answer those questions. Questions about like the show itself, the creative process, us, specific episodes. It's fair game. Fair game. Oh, RB asks, will you guys do an episode about cults? I think we've talked about it. I know we mentioned it.
Oh my God, should we do an episode about cults? Because I'm technically in a cult. Have I talked about this? How I'm technically technically in a cult? Like transcendental meditation is technically a benevolent. I call it a benevolent cult, but it's definitely a cult. And I have witnessed cult-like behavior while practicing transcendental meditation. Should we do a cult episode? I think
I
we
think
should.
we
Talk about
definitely
transcendental
should.
meditation.
I think we definitely should. It's worth talking about. Like, it's very interesting to talk about like the psychology behind it too. So I think we could weave so much of that in. Good question. Tiffany asks the question of, do you guys think you might do a Lord of the Rings episode in the future? Oh, yeah.
We've talked about it, and we've talked about having you on the episode to do Lord of the Rings episode. We've talked
We
about this in the
have.
past.
Yes, I am totally fair game for that. You know how much I love Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings makes me so happy. Arpy says, go for it. I was in one on Instagram. Tiffany says, I was in a cult. It traumatized me. I think a cult episode would be great. It's interesting. Like, I feel like, Tiffany says, oh my God, yes. I feel like, especially in spaces like YouTube, we could definitely have that conversation because, I mean, we've talked about problematic YouTubers in the past and how like many of their fans are, of course, very much influenced by the individuals. Like, I think it would be, interesting to have an episode reflecting on that on a wider scale. Godzilla Kyra asks, do you think you might do a kaiju episode? Like any kaiju or original ones? We have done a Godzilla episode.
We did do a Godzilla episode in the past. If you go through our history, we did do a whole episode about Godzilla. But I'm not sure if we should do any future episodes about Godzilla because he does do growing up with Godzilla. And so for me personally, I'm not sure if we want to step on the toes of his other podcast because there's so much overlap then. So that was just one thing that like I was kind of concerned about is if we keep talking about kaiju stuff on this podcast, it might not give him material for his other podcasts.
That is a fair point that I have not thought of. Ari's the voice of reason here, honestly. I am the chaos. Tiffany says, Arpy and I were in the same cult, by the way. So yeah, I think we're going to definitely do that episode. Mick Boyle is here. Hello, Mick. It's great to have you. So Mick asks, would you do an episode about the joys and benefits of being LGBT? That's a great idea.
That's a good episode. See, this is why we should do Q&As. It's because people are like, have you done this episode? Have you done this episode?
Goodness. You're helping us with episode ideas, so we really appreciate that. No, I think that's a very good idea because most of the discussions that we have largely focus on like trauma and other aspects, and I think that it might be good to talk about like the joys.
We should do that during Pride Month where we talk about celebrating why it's great to be gay.
Yes, I think we definitely should. We always have like our Pride episodes during that month tend to be like our most popular episodes every season. And we typically dress up for them too. You might see a return of Sangria Noir.
Yeah.
And
if you haven't seen our Pride episodes from last year, we went all out. We changed our banners and everything, and we had such a fun time.
We sure did. I still think one of my favorite episodes is Hot Gay Summer, just saying.
That was such a good episode.
Arpy asks, will you be doing more mental health episodes? I, of course, like, being that both Ari and I have a unique mental health journey, that, there are aspects of it that we can connect over. I think that we will probably have more conversations about it in the future.
I definitely have had some interesting stuff with my mental health journey come up recently. So I definitely want to do an episode about possibly. Can we just are we idea spinning here about episode ideas?
We are. Do I need to get out my notebook?
I think that we might.
Well, okay, let me catch up on the ideas first. So our first idea was cult episode. I have a P flag pen. Parents, friends of lesbians and gays. Phenomenal group. If you've not ever been anyway, shameless plug. Shameless plug, right? Okay,
I love P flag.
Me too. What was the other one? I'm trying to remember all the episode
Lord of the
ideas.
Rings.
Lord of the Rings. The other one was
Joys and benefits of being LGBTQ plus.
of being LGBTQ plus. Perfect. And then
there was mental health episodes, but it wasn't specifically an idea. But I had a specific idea about a mental health episode we could do.
ooh, what is it?
So have we talked about the vagal nerve?
No, we have not, but I think we should.
So because while I was doing transcendental meditation, I was stimulating my vagal nerve. And so I wanted to do an episode where we talk about what the vagal nerve is, and how it involves the flight, fight, or freeze response. So I kind of want to do an episode on either the flight, fight, or freeze response or the vagal nerve.
I love that idea. Great ideas, everyone. Arpy would like more music and reading episodes too. We should do a poet, and we usually do at least one poetry reading, especially per season. So maybe we can get Jared and Heather to come back to join us. Wouldn't that be nice to catch up with them?
Yeah. I love having Jared on the podcast.
Me too.
He's so much fun.
Jared is fun. I miss both of them. Like they're so good. They're genuinely good human beings.
I'm
Arby's
reading
loving the idea.
I'm reading Heather's book this next month.
Yes. Yeah, if you've not okay, so remember Heather, everyone. Heather was with us for part of season 3. Go check out Heather's books, the Clandestine series on Amazon. Great fantasy novels. Tiffany says, I've been wanting to do a podcast, but I don't really have anybody to do it with. We actually might be talking a little bit about like ideas regarding doing long form projects toward the end of the episode. So that, well, maybe you might be able to get some ideas when we get to that point. Book episodes. How about book episodes? So I wouldn't mind doing some book episodes, but I also know that Ari, you do a lot of like book stuff on your YouTube. I don't want us talking about book stuff to take away from what you do on your YouTube channel.
That's very true.
Can you all tell that we're trying to do like a niche thing here, like that we don't want to like step on the toes of anything else necessarily. So hope that makes sense.
I don't mind doing book episodes if it's like transformative in some way from like the other content that I do, because most of the content that I do is like I'm doing like a weekend book read, and so like if it was like read these, if it's like books that helped us on our mental health journey or books that we read, because if it's like if we did an episode like that, like books we read while healing or something, or books that we read while on vacation or something like that, then maybe that would be okay.
I mean, periodically we could do like maybe a small segment in certain episodes where we're like, oh, book of the week or something like that. Like, I mean, that's something like if we planned this, March is reading month. Maybe like in the future March reading months, we could do like a book of the week or something like that to celebrate reading month,
Okay.
What do you think about that? Do you think that's an interesting idea?
That's an interesting idea.
Final call and questions, my friends, because we do have some other things to talk about. So last call on some questions. Actually, Ari, I have a question for you.
What's that?
5 seasons so far. Which episodes are your favorites?
Favorite episodes? Oh, goodness. Let me think. Let me look at the...
It would not be a milestone if we did not talk about this, right? While you're finding that...
Let me look at the episodes, because I have to think about what episodes there were.
So while you're looking, Arpy has a question. Would you do an episode about toxic YouTubers? We actually have That was during season 1. But we could do a part 2 potentially for sure. I mean, I mean, in general, talk about how social media can be used in negative ways, right? By toxic creators. So
top 5 episodes.
top 5.
I always have to pick the first episode that we did, which was Beyond Just Protest, What's Next. That episode, I always love that episode because
Yep, me
even
too.
though it's such a weird episode, it's such a weird because
Oh,
it's
it was
like
our first
way
one.
in on our it's way in on our faces. Like it's definitely a prototype episode. But I love it because we just did it after the George Floyd protest.
Mhm.
I love that episode a lot. And sometimes I'll still listen to that episode. Oh, I really liked that episode too. I really liked the medications and mental health episode that we did in 2021.
That was, I think, during season 2, wasn't it? I'm gonna look at a
Yeah.
few of them too because, I asked you this question. I'm gonna be answering the question too. I will say that episode number 1 is one of my favorites as well. I really, from season 1, I would say, or was it season 2? There was an episode talking about our therapy experiences. I think it was the first episode of season 2. That was a very vulnerable episode for us, and I really, I think that that's when we started having a shift in our episodes when we talked about, some, very serious personal things. Your turn.
My favorite Sherry episode is Diet Culture.
Yes, those were, didn't we do 2 parts? I think Sherry
We
joined
did.
us for both of those
We did
parts.
2 parts, so that was my favorite Sherry episode was the Diet
Those were
Culture.
good. I also enjoyed the Art of Journaling episodes that we did with Sherry.
Yeah, those were
Well,
good
no,
too.
the first one was just with us, and then the next one was a part 2 with Sherry. Yes. I really loved the. Ooh, this is really hard to select, honestly. I would say the episode with Heather being passive aggressive.
That was such a good episode too.
One of the funniest episodes.
The Queen Elizabeth episode.
Oh, the Queen Elizabeth episode. Yes.
Yes. One
Then
more.
so I have 2 more. Of course, I'm gonna mention the Hot Gay Summer.
Hot Gay Summer, yep.
So do you have one more?
Oh, what was that one? Hang on. I can't find it. It was the one. Let me see if I can find it.
While you're looking for that, my last one, I think probably was I really
It's from
love the. Oh, go ahead.
it's from the first season. It's Overcoming Body Image Issues. I really liked that
Oh, that was a
episode.
very vulnerable one for us too. I do remember that. Yes. I think my last favorite one might be either the Let Them Theory episode from this season or Gay Awakenings. It's a toss-up between the 2.
Those are good episodes.
I mean, we've been on fire this season, and we're pretty excited about that. So I think we have a couple more questions or comments in the chat. RP asks, what was the hardest episode to do? That's a
So
good question.
in the second season, we had a few episodes where they ended on a hard note, very because what it was is in the second season, because we were when you start podcasting, and this is something that I've noticed, we have this friendship dynamic between us, but when you learn how to do a podcast dynamic, it's a little bit different than just a friendship dynamic, because you
Yeah.
have to learn how to like perform a little bit differently.
Hmm.
It's not just you kind of have to bring things around again. So we didn't quite have that dynamic down yet. So what it was is we would have these like really hard hitting issue episodes, but we wouldn't know how to like bring it back around again at the end of the episode. So there was a couple of like really like downer episodes that like we didn't know how to like bring it back around again at the end.
Right.
So the episodes ended on this like really heavy like dark note, and so we would be sitting in the back room and we would both be like sitting there just like that ended on a bummer.
Well, yeah, you'll I think that's an excellent point. You'll all notice that like with the last two seasons, specifically like 4 and 5, we've tried really hard to create like some sort of uplifting at the end, because like if we are leaving ourselves feeling down at the end of an episode, then to me that translates that we could be doing that for our audience too. And what you were saying about like the performance aspect of it, we are being ourselves, but we are also being performative because we're having these conversations, but we are also considering that we are entertaining people too in some fashion.
Right. So like sometimes I crack jokes because the mood gets like really heavy, and it's sort of like because I don't want people to feel like for myself as well as Donnie, I don't want either of us to feel like when we get to the back room, like we did during the second season, where we're both sitting there and it's just like, I want to cry. So,
Yeah.
like, we crack jokes and we kind of like make light of these situations because we're trying to keep things, on a lighter edge because it was so hard in that second season because we talk about these issues, but we're kind of like we're keeping it lighter.
So for
but
me,
but these are serious topics, and we want to
right.
show the severity of these issues, but
Yeah.
also at the same time we don't want you leaving feeling as though the whole world is doom and gloom, and that you feel like you can't you know capitulate that
Right.
you can't absorb these issues without feeling as though you have your whole life is ruined. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, that makes complete sense. So I would say that like if we're thinking, for me personally, thinking of like a span of time that was the most difficult would probably be late season 2, early season 3, because we weren't at a point where we were scheduling breaks for ourselves and we were doing like 10, 15 episodes in a row without any break. And then season 3, we wanted to expand and experiment by incorporating guest hosts, right? So like it became like a scheduling thing. It became very much, it was very difficult to navigate all of those different things.
And that's I got to the point of where I was like I was so burnt out. Like I was
Mhm.
just like, I don't know if I can do this. And like
Right.
that's why I said I'd always do this as long as it was fun and as long as we had topics. And there was a while there where I was like, Donnie, I need to take a break because I'm not having fun right now. And
Yeah.
I was like, I need to kind of take a moment to regain myself.
It was interesting because what episode was it? Was it episode 74, 75? It was like in the middle of season 3. It was the episode I did called The State of the Podcast. I was like, I'm gonna do an episode by myself and talk about things. That was a very difficult episode for me to do because at that point I didn't know what was going to happen, right? We like it was very possible that we almost ended the show mid
Yeah.
season 3. Um Thankfully Heather was able to come on and we were able to do some episodes, and then that gave Ari the time to, recuperate, which you need that time. And that's when we took the show back to the drawing board and we were like, okay, we need to like consider our own mental health, our own creative output, create breaks for us. So that's why like now we will do like maybe 3 to 5 episodes in a row and then we'll take a week off. We take off most of December, right, during the holidays. So like I think that this kind of going back to what what you were talking about earlier, Tiffany, about like wanting to do a podcast. One piece of advice that I have, if you ever do a long form project like this, is make sure that you schedule yourself downtime, because that downtime is what's going to help you stay refreshed, engaged, focused, and ultimately excited about what you're doing. Right?
Yeah.
And TED Talk. But
Um,
yeah, I would say that was the
it's,
hardest episode for me.
um, yeah, I think the hardest episode for me, was, I'm just gonna straight up say it, was, amateur versus professional. I think that
Yeah.
was probably my hardest episode, just because I left that episode and I was crying. That was probably my hardest episode, just
Yeah.
because I didn't have any fun on that episode. I was just a wreck, and I was just like, um, I don't know how I can continue on this. It was a lot of work, and we
Yeah.
weren't taking breaks, and my mental health had really suffered during that time, that I was just like, you know, because I remember sitting in the bathtub going, "Oh, I have to do the podcast this week." I said, "I want to see Donnie." I said, but I'm just so drained. I'm just
Mhm.
so drained. And I'm
Yeah,
like, is just sitting through a podcast, and I was just like, I don't know if I can do this. And it was
absolutely.
just like, it was just because the topics were getting so heavy, and the topics
Yeah.
were really hard on me emotionally. And I just remember, that episode specifically was really tough on me, because I had a lot of trauma associated with, being told I wasn't a good enough artist. And so that was a really, really tough episode for me. Um, so I just remember, feeling like that episode caused me to get rid of, almost three-quarters of my art. Like, I
Mhm.
literally piled up, a big stack of my paintings, and I took them to Goodwill and I threw them away. And I said, and I didn't make art for over a year after that.
Yeah. So that just like that itself, I mean, one, it takes a lot of strength to be able to reflect on that. So I really want to make space to say that, because I mean, it's been 2 years since that happened, right? And
Yeah.
I think that was our big learning experience too, because at that point in time, like I wasn't piecing together how some of the topics were impacting either of us potentially. And that's why now, if you look at what we do here, we do talk about serious topics still, but of course, going back, we do end on an uplifting note, but we also make space for lighter topics, right? That's one.
Mhm.
RP asks, where was it? Will you guys be doing more hodgepodge episodes? Yes, that's actually
Yes.
one reason why we started introducing hodgepodge episodes. That way we could just talk without having to be bound by like any particular,
Then we could
serious
just
topic.
basically pop a rock and just say whatever was on our little brains, our little worm brains that we had built up that week.
Yep. And I've loved them so far. I think we've done like what, two or three of those so far, and we'll
We've
probably
done
do another
three
one
now,
soon.
and I
Well,
love each and every single one of those hodgepodge episodes.
they're so fun. RP says it's tough for me to pick a favorite, though I'd say the mental health and queer related ones, but I also like the music and book ones. And RP says I loved how it's evolved. Also, you guys should take the breaks if you need to. Oh, and Tiffany gives you hugs.
Thank you
Hugs to
so
both
much.
of
I
us.
appreciate it.
And says
I
that,
It's okay. It
oh,
was a learning experience. And the thing about it is when you fall down, your
yeah,
friend is my Donnie was there as a friend. He gave me the time I needed. And I came back so much stronger, because we had that nature versus nurture episode. That's the first episode I came back with. And that's probably one of our funniest episodes, because I
mm-hmm.
came back with nature versus nurture, and then the episode after that
The
is
passive
passive.
aggressive one.
Yes, and so
Yeah.
those are some of our funniest episodes that we had because I was just so on fire. I was so ready to come
I'm
back.
fairly sure that that was the first time you met Heather too, I think,
It
wasn't it?
was. It
Well,
was.
and I have to take a moment, and I wanna thank Heather specifically at that time as well, because there was a
I'm
point in
so
time I kind of wanted to throw in the towel, because I was like, "If this much is happening and if it's really impacting us all negatively, why continue?" But Heather was very encouraging, and she participating for that stint of 10 episodes or so, like, kind of helped reinvigorate me, and then when you were like, "I'm ready," I was like, "Oh, everything is falling into balance again." So,
I was so grateful for Heather. I kinda wish she had stayed on, but I understand that it was just a temporary thing,
well, and the
but
thing is, for
I
Heather,
love Heather. I
this
love
was
Heather so much.
doing this was so far outside of her comfort zone, and I knew that it took a lot of strength for her to be able to do this for 10 episodes. And she said that she definitely is willing to come back in the future. So, so oh, where were we? That was a good conversation, everyone. Good,
Oh my
excellent
goodness,
questions.
getting deep.
Should we do more Q&As, friends? What do you think? So,
Maybe.
I so what is our next question?
Tell a secret you're willing to share with the audience.
Tell a secret. Oh, a secret. Oh, Taylor's here. Hello, Taylor. It's good to see you. Oh, don't we look ravishing tonight? So,
Do you wanna hear a secret that I did the other day?
yes.
So I was out this is actually kind of quite embarrassing. So I was out in public and, I was walking to try to get ready for the half marathon, and I peed my pants.
Oh, no. No.
I had to tie my jacket around my waist, and I was like, "I hope that nobody notices that I peed my pants."
Hey, at least you had that jacket, though. I'm sure that really came in handy. Were you at least wearing, like, dark-colored pants so it wasn't obvious?
No.
Ari. Oh, no. I'm sorry. I
I
shouldn't
just
laugh.
I just went home and I took a shower and I
Tiffany
cried.
says, "I bet you were pissed."
So that's my big dark secret is I peed my pants.
Oh my god. Um, I do have a secret. It's really embarrassing. So, the other day, I have this habit and it really annoys Brett a lot. That, like, so we live on, like, a corner street with, like, big windows,
Yeah.
and sometimes, like, I'll get out of the shower and I'll just be in my underpants or whatever. I'll be like, I'm in my house, what's the big deal? And there
Oh
was a
no.
day there was a day that I was in a robe, thankfully. I was in a robe and, like, all of our, like, big bay windows, like, everything was open, and I'm like, I was listening to music and I had a hairbrush and I was, like, pretending that I was singing. And I'm just like, and somebody walked on the sidewalk and they were like, and I stopped. I'm like, I froze because I was like, maybe if I freeze, they'll think that I'm a reflection. And it was so embarrassing. I was just like, one of my biggest dreams is to be a pop star. And I'm only a pop star in my house when I'm alone.
This that I love you, Donnie, but that is definitely a gay moment.
It was a very gay moment.
I
Like,
love it. I love that.
gay culture.
That's definitely great, though. I love it.
Oh, it would have
If
been a highlight if I was actually in drag doing it, like,
uh,
my goodness. Okay, looking at the comments here. RP says, I'm glad you guys did not throw in the towel.
I'm glad
I
we
see
didn't
left.
either.
I see Tiffany. You crack me up. RP asks, will you do more dating episodes? Did you enjoy our dating horror story episode? That was a good episode. I think
Every
at some
Valentine's
point.
Day, we're gonna do something Valentine's related.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Oh, there we go.
Ooh,
My
ooh,
hair was a little
ooh,
my hair was a little
ooh,
wild there for a moment. I
ooh,
got just
ooh,
dancing,
ooh, ooh, ooh,
dancing like Dolly.
ooh, ooh.
Except she doesn't look frumpy. There we go.
Ooh, I got
So,
dust in my
okay, what does your normal schedule look like recently, and how does the show fit into your schedule? Well, um, we usually do preparing for the show about like 2 hours before thereabouts. What we like create an outline of notes that we like to use just to keep us on track. During the there's some episodes like the poetry episodes we don't really do notes because it's just reading poetry, but
Right.
um
No, I've got dust in my eye. I'm not about to orgasm. No, I've got dust in my eye.
Tiffany.
I swear it's not sexual. I'm not about to sex you up.
um I totally lost what I was saying.
What you do is 2 hours before the episode
Yeah,
starts.
so Ari and I take turns like starting the notes, and we usually will like eventually come together and collaborate on the notes. And sometimes like we'll stay after like the show for like a half hour to like talk. So like it's like 2 or 3 hours and like a Thursday night that we like kind of dedicate to this. Of course our off nights we don't do any show related stuff, but um
I think we
no,
really start talking about the episode at least the day before,
yeah,
on the
usually.
Wednesday before.
Yeah. RP asks, will you do more gratitude episodes? Yes, potentially. Did you enjoy the gratitude episode? We can do a part two to that at some point. Uh,
Because I really start thinking about the episode probably during my morning meditation, and then I'll think about it again heavily during my night meditation because that's about around like 6 o'clock or so. I'll start to really think about the episode.
yeah,
It kind of like permeates my thoughts during my night meditation. So then when I come out of my meditation, I'm laying down and I'm like thinking about the episode and I'm thinking about like what I want to say in the notes. Usually when I start the notes, like I'm really thinking about like what kind of notes I want to put down. Um,
yeah.
but like I'm really thinking about like especially like if you're doing the notes too, like I'm thinking about like how I want to contribute to the notes in a meaningful way and like thinking about like how like what I want to talk about during the episode and like because and like even during the episode itself I'm thinking about like the show's mission statement and how it like affects the topic we're talking about. And sometimes like even we'll sit there and like I'll do research and I'll be like looking up articles and stuff like that of like how it
Yeah.
affects our topic and like like maybe like facts or like figures and things that I want to like look up and like how that'll affect what I'm going to talk about for the night. So like sometimes I'll be like eating dinner while I'm sitting here and kind of like researching a little bit.
I think one thing that part of the process for me too, and I know you do this too, is like how do we make the information accessible for everybody, right? Because
Mhm.
like some of the topics that we discuss like are very complex, especially the mental health ones. Like we neither of us are therapists, but we've had our own mental health journey. So we acknowledge that like we have to do a lot of research in order to inform ourselves on a topic before we actually talk about that topic. So
Yeah.
part of the process is thinking about like, okay, how are we going to present that to people in a way that makes sense. And
Yeah.
that's why the discussion questions become so important because in posing them, we kind of help us talk through the question, through the answer also. So, one final question that I want to pose is about milestones. So, like, we are celebrating a milestone. And I was thinking earlier tonight, preparing for the episode, I was like, do we celebrate milestones? Should we celebrate them? Do
I
like
think we should.
people I think we should too because I feel like there's this pressure. I feel like when something huge and notable happens, it deserves to be seen and acknowledged.
Yeah.
And because it's an extension of what you've done, it's an extension of you, you know. So, do you celebrate other milestones beyond this, Ari?
Um, I've been trying to. I celebrated my birthday this year, which I had not been celebrating my birthday But I'm getting up there, and I'm starting to realize that your birthday is your one special day. And everybody has a birthday, but like your day is like the one day that you get that's like tailor made for you, of like when you came into this world. And so like, it's your personal milestone of like when you came to exist on this planet. It's like your personal like marker of like when you began to exist on this planet. And like it marks the celestial body. I'm just, you know I just I just I just think that it's so important. So like I celebrated my birthday by taking myself out to a very fancy country club, and saw
Oh.
some really really annoying country club people make fun of me, and I ignored them and drank my $100 bottle of wine and ate my pizza and read my Britney Spears biography.
You know what? Own it.
Own
Own
it.
it. I think that's the best advice. Like, so like the last couple of questions that we have are like, what advice do you have for people interested in doing long form projects like a podcast? And what advice do you have for people when it comes to chasing and achieving milestones? Own your damn successes, even if other people will try to diminish or minimize them. Because people will do that. And people do that though because usually they're either envious of that or they can't wrap their mind around what you
Or
accomplished.
Or what people will do is, if you found some kind of success, people will try to jump on that bandwagon and make it theirs.
Yeah.
And what it is yours. That's why Donnie's success is his 5,000 subscriber success. That's his. And so some people might try to take that away from him, or my 1,000 subscriber success, or like some people might try to take that and jump on that bandwagon and take that away. Take some kind of success, and whatever is you're succeeding at, or whatever it is that you're doing. Don't let people take your spotlight from you, whatever it
Absolutely.
is that you're achieving. If you and it's always people who just want that attention on them. So it's whatever it is that you're achieving, when you reach that success, when you finally reach that success, don't let somebody try to jump on your bandwagon at the very last second to try to steal that light from you, because it's yours. It's your thing that you've created. And don't let somebody try to take that success from you because you're doing well for yourself.
Yeah.
Because I think that's something that has been a problem. The people will try to take something from you after you've gained some kind of success.
Absolutely. And I love the sort of like metaphor that you were using about like the light that you put out, right? Because the truth is like I've known so many people who have extinguished other people's creative light through making comments like that. And the truth is, the light that you put out there might significantly impact somebody when you least expect it, right? So by and of course, in doing so, that kind of translates back and validates whatever creative thing it is that you're doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I know, like in the context of what we do here, like I've had quite a few people be like, "Wow, I really love your conversations. They're really fun. They're really insightful. Like it feels very cozy, comfortable, and safe." And that's what we strive for, right? And if we can connect with people in some small way like that, that's what matters. So, so RP asks, will you do more autistic episodes? We will be doing, I would say, more episodes on neurodivergence. Yes, for sure. And creative ones. Well, Ari, do you have any parting words?
Oh my goodness! Thank you all for joining us. It's been a pleasure. You make the show what we are, honestly.
Yeah. And we really appreciate you tuning in every week whenever you're able. We appreciate every like, every subscribe, every opportunity that you are able to. Tiffany, I don't know if I'm going to read that comment because I don't want YouTube to ping anything. I will say, you said, I'm glad that you guys do research, unlike another certain person who doesn't and just talks out of.
Oh, and I do love celebrating birthdays too.
Yes, me too. Me too. But yes, like, thank you so much for everything that you do to support us. It really means a lot. And know that we love you. Okay. Have a good rest of your night. So next week is our off week, I believe, but we will be back the week after. Talk to you soon.
Okay.
Bye. Sangria Noir out.